a TV host pops up on screen to introduce her show, which is called Hunters Now. Right after, she announces the special guest for the night, an A-rank hunter named Ibuki Yugo. With that, the host asks Yugo about his experience clearing the Fisher Golem raid in the dungeon. Yugo starts bragging, saying his Flame Mage class was a perfect match for the monster. Meanwhile, our main character, Ninomiya Tsukasa, watches everything from his house and thinks about this so-called A-rank hunter. The show's camera focuses on the audience, and we see everyone looking at Yugo with a ton of respect and admiration. Seeing this, our MC wonders why he can't be like that famous hunter. A status screen pops up revealing that Tsukasa is an S-rank trap master, but his stats are super low. From there, the scene shifts to outer space, and it's explained that the world now revolves around dungeons. Mysterious portals started appearing all over the planet, leading to unknown territories. Inside these dungeons, there were tons of traps and fierce monsters lurked around every corner. But there were also mystical items like goblets of infinite wine and elixirs that could heal any wound. These rare treasures and artifacts brought immense wealth to those who found them. At the same time, some people around the world began to awaken special abilities. Those who had powers and brought items from the dungeons into the world were called hunters. With that, a new society emerged based on merit, where anyone who awakened a strong class earned respect. This meant that even someone who dropped out of school or got bullied, like our MC, could get a real shot. Because of this, Tsukasa believed that by awakening a high-ranked class, his life would finally change for the better. He awakened the S-rank Trapmaster class, which allows him control all the traps inside dungeons. Since dungeons are full of dangers, mastering the traps would be the same as mastering the entire dungeon. So, our MC was super excited when he found out he had awakened this ultimate class. That day was supposed to be the best day of his life, but that all happened 2 years ago when he tried to get his license. In a flashback, we see Tsukasa at a testing center where the examiner asks him to show off his ability. Faced with this, he holds out his hand and yells the name of his skill, Coin Trap Activation, with all his might. Our MC tries to use his ability on a wooden dummy, but nothing happens, leaving everyone confused. Desperate, he realizes that for some reason, his ability isn't working at all. Right after, the examiner next to him asks what's going on. Tsukasa gets really embarrassed and says it was nothing, then asks to try just one more time. So, the guy puts both hands on the wooden dummy and tries to activate his skill again. The crowd behind him starts to mock him and laugh in his face as he begins to panic. In the middle of his panic, Tsukasa screams desperately, not knowing what to do in this embarrassing situation. With his hands on his face, he goes into shock, unable to believe his ability just won't work. Seeing this, the examiner stares at him with a serious expression, and everyone around starts whispering. From there, the man asks what our MC is doing, and he tries to explain his ability. On the blue screen, we see the skill description, which is used to manipulate and forcibly activate dungeon traps. With that, Tsukasa realizes his ability only works on actual traps inside dungeons. Even after the explanation, the man with glasses keeps looking at our MC with a suspicious vibe. The examiner then says that from time to time, they get liars who fake their ranks or just plain weirdos. In desperation, Tsukasa insists that he really is an S rank and points to his status screen to prove it. But the examiner explains that no one can see another person's status window, so that doesn't prove anything. Because of this, the guy asks to be tested in a dungeon, but the examiner cuts him off, saying it's too dangerous. He states that to enter a dungeon, you need to have proven combat skills in the exam. Completely cornered, our MC wonders what he's supposed to do now. The examiner simply turns his back and says that being a hunter isn't the only job out there. This response leaves Tsukasa completely frozen, unable to react to what just happened. Because of that, he couldn't become a hunter, and the job he got was at an association. The scene cuts to a training room where we see several people practicing boxing and other martial arts. Our MC shows up with boxing gloves and tries to throw a punch, but it doesn't seem to be going too well. Suddenly, a blonde guy lands a solid hook right in Tsukasa's face, who immediately drops to the floor. With a smirk on his face, the man grabs the guy's head and tells him to do his job right. Then, the blonde guy yells that our MC's job is to be a living punching bag for the hunters. With a powerful kick, Asinuma sends Tsukasa flying, and he crashes hard onto the ground. Even though he couldn't use his skills, his passion was recognized, and he became a training assistant for hunters. The bully still remembers the day and starts to taunt our MC, who's still on the floor. He says Tsukasa was picked on in school and showed up at the exam lying about being an S-rank hunter. This guy is Asanuma, a classmate who was at the exam and now takes out his frustrations on him. Even while getting beaten, our MC insists with a determined look that he really is an S-rank. Asanuma doesn't like that answer one bit and gets an angry look on his face. Because of this, he lands another kick to Tsukasa's face and yells at him to just admit the truth already. The bully questions why he's taking a beating if he's so strong and asks if he's finally given up. Asanuma mentions the promise he made about the special permit for non-hunters to enter dungeons. Lying on the floor, our MC reminds him that he promised to be his recommender if he could take the beating. With disdain, the bully turns his back and cusses the guy out, who is still on the floor in a lot of pain. The two of them stare each other down, and the tension between them builds in the middle of the training room. Faced with the situation, Asanuma says he understands Tsukasa's obsession with wanting to be a hunter all too well. With a malicious grin, the blonde guy says he'll give him one last test to settle things. He takes Tsukasa somewhere else because he doesn't want the older hunters to see what's about to happen. The bully explains that the test is simple and hands a piece of paper for our MC to grab. Then he shows the signed permit and says that if Tsukasa can grab the document, he passes the test. Our MC gets hopeful at the chance, but Asanuma isn't done giving instructions yet. To the guy's surprise, the blonde reveals that he'll have to endure attacks from 2 more guys. Tsukasa recognizes the men as bullies from school, but even so, he accepts the challenge without hesitation. He doesn't see any other choice, as this is his only chance to finally get into a dungeon. From there, the pair of bullies starts wailing on our MC with brutal punches and kicks. Asanuma just watches the scene, thinking about how stubborn the guy is and how serious he is about going to a dungeon. Seeing the guy's persistence, Asanuma says that if he's that serious about the dungeon, because of that, the blonde guy starts tearing up the paper and says there's no way he can let him go. Our MC is completely shocked and his eyes go wide at the sight. The bully then laughs and says it's annoying to see a nobody get their hopes up, which is why he ripped up the paper right in front of him. Faced with the taunt, Tsukasa just grits his teeth in anger, unable to react. In a fit of rage, our MC lunges at Asanuma, screaming his name at the top of his lungs. However, the blonde guy is much faster and manages to grab Tsukasa's hand before he gets punched. In an instant, he activates a skill, and a dagger of energy pierces right through our MC's hand. The other bullies with him are impressed and comment on how cool the skill was. From there, the bully says that Tsukasa failed the test and that he should just give up. Our MC just stares at the dagger stuck in his hand, not believing what just happened. The weapon vanishes into particles of light, and he realizes that deep down, he already knew it was all a lie. Walking through the city, he reflects that the permit system exists, but it has one big problem. Turns out, the recommender is responsible for anything that happens to the civilian in the dungeon. So, it was obvious that a guy like Asanuma would never keep his promise. Even so, he needed something to hold on to so he wouldn't lose hope for better days. With his face all banged up, our MC was completely broken, but he couldn't give up now. Because if he could just get into a dungeon, his crappy life would finally change for good. At this point, that was the only thing he could still truly believe in. Suddenly, a red bolt of lightning cuts through the city sky and hits the ground with absurd force. The energy expands violently and starts destroying everything around, sending everyone into a panic. A guy with brown hair who is passing by looks up, terrified by the destruction. Someone yells for him to watch out for what's coming up behind him, but it's already too late. Right after, an entire building starts to crumble, and everyone runs for their lives. You can see the sheer desperation in the guy's eyes as the structure comes crashing down towards him. The sky turns crimson, and the city transforms into a battlefield in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, on a big screen, a reporter starts to give a breaking news update. According to the Hunter Association, dungeon breaks are happening all over the world. As the entire world turns into one giant dungeon, a beam of energy is fired. The population goes into a total panic with the devastation and chaos spreading rapidly. Tsukasa is paralyzed with fear as he sees a colossal red dragon destroying the city. He completely freaks out over the chaotic situation unfolding around him. To protect himself, the guy dives to the ground as the creature's tail sweeps over him. Amidst the rubble, he spots the silhouette of a winged monster in the reddish sky. His eyes go wide as he notices the world has become one giant dungeon. At that moment, he remembers his trap master class, which dominates the dangers of dungeons. A blue aura emerges around him, and he realizes he can finally use his abilities. This catastrophic event became known as the Great Dungeon Break. From that point on, the portals that divided the worlds shattered all at once. With a confident smile, our MC activates his first skill, Trap Scan. He thinks that if the world has turned into a dungeon, his expertise has to work now. His eyes glow blue as he can now visualize all the traps around him. A map-like view displays the exact location of every nearby danger. With a smile of relief, Tsukasa realizes his power was never a lie. Now he's certain that he can finally become a real hunter. Normally, the dangers scattered throughout dungeons only serve to torment hunters. But for our MC, it's different because his power shows the exact position of each one. From here on out, everything becomes easier since he knows where all the threats are. With a look full of confidence, the guy now has total control of the situation. Suddenly, he spots a night monster chasing a mother and her son in the middle of the street. Without hesitating, Tsukasa picks up a metal pipe from the ground to use as a weapon. He believes that with the power of a trap master, he can annihilate that creature. Meanwhile, the woman yells for her son to run because the monster is almost on them. In the rush, the little boy ends up tripping and falling to the ground in a complete panic. His mom looks back, terrified to see that her son, Takeru, has been left behind. The creature then stops right in front of the boy, who is frozen with fear. With a cruel smile, the monster raises its sword, ready to strike the kid. Right after, the blade comes swinging down toward little Takeru, but in the nick of time, our MC appears and blocks the blow using just the metal pipe. Furious, he glares at the monster and dares the creature to come at him. With a confident smile, Tsukasa announces that the trap to annihilate the monster is already set. So, he dodges a horizontal swing from the creature with incredible agility. Right after, our MC jumps back to lure the monster to the right spot. And just like that, the pipe he was using gets stuck in the ground right where he wanted it. The armored knight slowly approaches, not understanding the guy's strategy. Our MC watches from a distance as the monster steps exactly where he planned. He then confirms with a smile that the trap is right there, underneath the creature. With that, a blue light glows and a magic circle forms, activating the hazard. A huge blast of blue energy shoots upward with a ton of power. The trap's power is so immense that the monster has no chance of escaping. A pendulum with a giant axe appears and slices the thing in half without any mercy. Seeing the result, our MC celebrates because his plan worked perfectly. He reflects that his fighting style is to annihilate monsters using the traps in the environment. In the background, the mother hugs Takeru, who is crying with relief for being saved just in time. Our MC smiles, satisfied to see that the family is finally safe. Our MC thinks that even mid-level hunters would have had trouble with that monster. With his face a little dirty, he analyzes the chaotic situation that has taken over the city. In the distance, he watches the mother and son hugging safely after the big scare. The woman picks the boy up and runs off as Tsukasa watches them go. Suddenly, a group of armored knights appears, and he realizes he can't fight them one by one. With no time to waste, the guy decides to use another ability to deal with the threat. He raises his hand and, with a powerful shout, activates all the traps in the area at once. With that, one of the monsters is caught off guard by a magic circle that appears out of nowhere. The skill hits the creature dead on with a massive explosion of energy from the ground. Right after, several blue spheres surround the other monsters, indicating more dangers are coming. The forced activation works, and he's able to use the traps without needing to touch them. After crushing the enemies with boulders, he levels up to level 2 and his skills improve. He gets excited about this because, as an S rank, he can learn new skills and get stronger. Some civilians who were hiding are shocked to see boulders falling from the sky. One of them approaches Tsukasa asking for help and wondering where they should run. Our MC says he's not an official hunter, but they need to find a safe zone. He explains that these places are areas within dungeons where there are no monsters or traps. Normally, it would take a large exploration team to find a place like that. The civilian despairs at this, but Tsukasa calmly says that for him, it's no problem. With a smile, he crouches down and places his hand on the ground, which starts to glow blue. From there, the guy activates his trap scan ability one more time. His logic is simple: find a place with no traps to find the much-needed safe zone. With that, he tells everyone the safe spot is Higashikawa Park and tells them to follow him. He then adds that they just need to trust his ability for it to work out. With little choice, the whole group agrees and runs after him towards safety. After a while, they reach the park, and one of the men celebrates their achievement. Everyone is relieved because there are no monsters around, and the boy's mother says thank you. The woman and Takeru turn to our MC and thank him for saving their lives. Suddenly, something seems off, and Tsukasa notices some strange movement at the park entrance. At this, he gives a kind of crazy smile and runs off at high speed somewhere. He's smiling because now he can see everything, and he feels like he has the best eyes in the world. With this vision, he thinks that if places without traps are safe, then the opposite must also be true. A place packed with traps must be guarding something really important. Because of this, our MC deduces that it could be a super powerful hidden item. Without wasting any time, he runs towards the spot he saw to grab this treasure. He knows that if he can get his hands on that item, his life will change for good. Suddenly, a familiar voice comes from behind him, shamelessly calling him a weakling. The sound of someone landing hard on the ground gets our MC's attention. That guy calls him a fake SS rank, and our hero can't believe who he's seeing. The guy's eyes go wide in pure shock as he recognizes the figure in front of him. It was none other than Asanuma, his old classmate and the biggest bully of his life. Ninami at Tsukasa is completely speechless and wonders what the heck that guy is doing here. With a suspicious look, our MC tries to understand what the bully is trying to say. The blonde guy figures that Tsukasa avoided the monsters and just ended up here by pure luck. With that, Asanuma confirms that there are no monsters here, but instead, there's something else. He then yells that instead of monsters, there are violent people like him, and lunges forward. In our MC's eyes, we see the pure reflection of the madness on the bully's face. Asanuma attacks with everything he's got, but Tsukasa manages to dodge the blow by a hair. The guy tries to argue, saying it's not the time for fights, but the bully just doesn't care. He shoots back, saying the world has already gone to heck anyway. For Asanuma, this is a new world where the strong, like him, can do whatever they want. With a psycho smile, he says he wants to test if taking out people also raises his level. Faced with this, our MC realizes his old classmate has completely lost it. But he also notices that the guy's movements are strange and that he's avoiding the traps. The bully realizes he's been noticed and with a smug grin, says he'll tell him his secret. Right after, he shows some kind of device and reveals that's the reason why. Our MC immediately recognizes the object as a trap locator. He knows that's a rare and very expensive item that normal hunters can't afford. Asanuma shamelessly confesses that he looted the item from a store in the middle of the chaos. Now, with the device, he brags that he's already mapped the area and has nothing to fear. Our MC decides he's going to catch him by surprise with a force trap activation. He focuses on an attack type hazard that's right above Asanuma's head. With a shout, the guy activates the trap, and a gigantic magic circle forms on the spot. The bully looks up, surprised to see several metal plates falling towards him. The rain of steel hits the blonde guy dead on, and he screams in pain from the impact. So, our MC observes the result of his attack with the enemy on the ground. With a slight smirk, he thinks he's finally managed to defeat his opponent. He approaches the fallen body to confirm his victory and end the fight once and for all. But suddenly, the guy notices a wicked smile forming on his rival's face. The blonde gets up, mocking the pathetic trap, as a pink aura surrounds him. He glares at Tsukasa and remembers that the guy mentioned having a trap activation skill. Our MC is in shock as he sees a spark on the guy's back and wonders what that is. That thing is a defensive item that creates an invisible barrier to block fatal attacks. With a victorious grin, Asanuma brags that he already warned our hero. He shows the item and reveals that he looted it from an equipment shop in the middle of all the chaos. With a crazy smile, he yells that with the locator and the invisible shield, he can become an elite hunter. From there, the bully charges forward and lands a powerful punch to our MC's gut. From the force of the blow, the guy falls to the ground, unable to react to the surprise attack. Asanuma calls him trash and smugly asks if he really had the nerve to attack him from behind. With a psycho look, he says he always taught him the standard procedure during training. The procedure was to land a blow to the stomach and make the opponent crawl on the floor. He yells for the Hunter Association to watch because his legend starts now. But Tsukasa recovers and manages to block the next attack with his arm. Asanuma complains that because he's a D rank, they only send him to crappy, worthless dungeons. He gets angry, saying his power isn't limited and that he'd do great in high-level dungeons. Faced with this, our MC realizes he's in for a serious beating and needs to do something. With that, a blue aura appears in his hands as he prepares another one of his abilities. He then points at the blonde guy and yells, activating another trap to end the fight. A spike ball appears in the air, and the bully faces it with a confident smile. The trap comes down hard, but Asanuma blocks it with his sword, yelling that he's going to get stronger. With a crazed look, Asanuma yells that he's going to get even more items in high-level dungeons. Unfazed, our MC runs and activates another trap to try and stop him. The blonde guy dodges everything with ease, and yells that he's going to finish everyone who looked down on him. Tsukasa realizes it's useless because the guy is reading his attacks perfectly with the locator. He starts to despair because even if an attack hits, it won't do any good because of the shield. Seeing the enemy silhouette, he feels cornered and completely out of options. Suddenly, a status notification pops up, telling him he has acquired a new ability. He understands that because he used his technique so many times, the skill's proficiency increased without him noticing. The screen reveals his new skill, Trap Creation, which generates new dangers using magic power. Our MC gets a glimmer of hope and thinks that maybe, just maybe, he has a chance with this. Meanwhile, Asanuma calls him trash and gets annoyed by how long the guy is taking to react. The bully asks what that weird pose is, not understanding what Tsukasa is planning to do. Our MC remembers the bully's words and says that first comes the punch to the gut. With a look full of hatred, he yells that he's going to give the jerk exactly what he wants. From there, he decides to use his new power to create and activate a trap on himself. With a determined shout, he creates a trap on his own body using his new skill. Right after that, a giant wooden log shoots up from the ground and flies at high speed. Asanuma is in shock, wondering how the heck a trap just appeared out of nowhere. The bully yells that his item didn't detect anything as the log slams right into him. From the impact of the blow, the blonde guy is sent flying with no chance to defend himself. Our MC celebrates with a smile because his risky plan finally worked. He explains that with his new skill, he can generate a trap where there was absolutely nothing before. With this new technique, he realizes he can win and decides to activate the trap one more time. Asanuma panics and yells that it's impossible for a loser like Tsukasa to create traps out of thin air. The guy says he's sorry, but he's different because he's an S-rank trap master. With a confident smile, he prepares a sphere of energy and says that's why he can do this. Right after, our MC uses his trap creation one more time. A magic circle forms behind Asanuma, who screams in pure panic. A giant wash basin falls from the sky and hits him square on the head with a lot of force. Lying on the ground, the bully is completely confused, wondering what the heck a wash basin is. Our MC realizes that's still not enough, as this is the limit of his current power. He understands that to create large-scale traps, he needs a lot more magic power. At this, Asanuma starts laughing and mocks the pathetic wash basin trap. However, Tsukasa reveals that the goal wasn't to hit him, and tells the guy to look at his hands. The bully is confused and, not understanding a thing, looks at his own hands to see what's there. Suddenly, a red magic circle forms right under him, activating a trap. Our MC explains that there was already a hazard in that spot since the beginning of the fight. At that point, the blonde understands that the wash basin was just bait to lure him to the right place. His eyes go wide in sheer panic as he realizes he fell right into the guy's plan. A giant saw blade shoots out of the ground, ready to slice up the careless prey who fell for the trap. The blade hits him dead on, and the bully screams in pain from the unexpected surprise attack. With a look of pure terror, he tries to protect himself from the blow, but it's already too late. The impact from the saw is so strong that it sends him flying with no chance to defend. Lying on the ground, all beaten up, Asanuma groans in pain from the wound he just took. In complete desperation, he realizes there's now another trap right behind him. The trap is a wall of needles that attacks anyone who gets close, and it hits him squarely. With his face twisted in pain, he keeps screaming as the danger relentlessly presses against him. Right after, he spots another trap and tries to run to escape the attack. Desperate, he realizes that if this keeps up, his invisible shield is going to break for good. Pure terror takes over his face as he's surrounded by dangers on all sides. He tries to flee in another direction but soon sees another red magic circle in his path. Just then, a powerful lightning bolt strikes him, electrocuting his body with immense force. From the electric shock, his legs give out, and he falls to his knees, completely drained of strength. All busted up, he realizes he's at his limit, and that one more hit could be fatal. With nowhere left to go, the guy ends up falling right on top of another red magic circle. From there, a chain with a sharp hook is fired in his direction at high speed. The unbreakable chain traps him completely, sealing off his resistance and all of his movements. Our MC approaches and smugly asks if he didn't notice the trap there. With a victorious smile, he reveals that this place has a combo of deadly traps. This mechanism was designed to take out even high-durability intruders just like him. Our MC says that this is the grand finale of his deadly trap combo. Faced with this, a giant crossbow appears in the sky and takes aim right at the terrified bully. In a total panic, Asanuma starts screaming and begging for his life, cause he doesn't want to be taken out right there. Meanwhile, our hero watches the hunting crossbow get ready to finish off its cornered prey. The arrow hits the blonde guy's invisible shield dead on, and the barrier starts to crack from the impact. With the power of the attack, the shield shatters into 1,000 pieces, and the bully thinks it's all over for him. The force of the explosion throws the guy backward, breaking the chains that were holding him. By a hair, the arrow misses its target and gets stuck in the ground, destroying the items the bully had stolen. Down on the ground and foaming at the mouth, Asanuma is out for the count and doesn't need a final blow. Tsukasa explains that the shield generator broke because it took too many deadly traps in a row. With that, he walks over and stumps on the trap locator to destroy it once and for all. Our MC says Asanuma's mistake was using up all the item's power on the trap combo. From there, a mysterious light starts to shine from a crack in the wall. The guy looks toward the glow and realizes that's what the traps were protecting. With a determined step, he walks toward the light, because it's what he's been searching for. With a smile on his face, he peeks through the crack and celebrates finding what he wanted. Behind the wall, he finds a hidden S-rank treasure chest which is super rare. These items are really hard to find and very few hunters ever manage to get one. Because of that, they're worth a fortune and can completely change the power of whoever has them. Without wasting any time, our MC opens the chest and a mysterious blue energy pours out of it. From there, the energy surrounds his body, and he starts to float in the air with the item's power. several status screens pop up in front of him, and his magic power starts to increase like crazy. He remembers that his weakness was a lack of power, which is why he couldn't create strong traps. But now, with the Archmage's orb, his magic power jumped from 7 to 27 all at once. With a confident and powerful smile, he decides it's time to test out his new strength. Right after, a giant monster with super sharp claws appears in front of him out of nowhere. There were several praying mantis-like creatures surrounding him with threatening glares. Seeing this, he thinks that these are the perfect opponents to test his new ability. So, the guy raises his hand and, with a powerful shout, activates his trap creation. 3 magic turrets appear out of nowhere and start firing at the monsters with everything they've got. The turrets shoot a fire attack called Hell Flame that burns everything on the field. With a satisfied smile, he realizes the deadly trap worked because of the orb's power. Suddenly, 2 mysterious guys show up and are startled by the scene of destruction. They're shocked to see the monsters' bodies completely charred by the fire. One of them wonders if there's an S-rank hunter nearby to have done that. Hiding, our MC recognizes the men as being from the association's defense squad. Another guy comes running up and yells for them to hurry to the baseball stadium. He explains that the main force found the area boss and everyone needs to help take it down. Tsukasa overhears the conversation and is surprised to learn that the boss is at the stadium. The area boss is the most powerful monster in the vicinity and the top priority for all hunters. If it's defeated, all the other monsters vanish and the area becomes a safe zone. Our MC believes this rule must also apply to the city that turned into a dungeon. Without wasting time, the men run towards the stadium for the big battle that's about to start. With a smile on his face, he decides an opponent like that is worth seeing and decides to go too. The scene changes, and we see the stadium getting closer as night falls over the city. At the stadium, several hunters are fighting armored monsters that seem to be the area's guards. One of them is facing a giant creature while another yells not to get distracted by the weaker ones. He warns that the area boss is about to arrive, and they need to focus on the main threat. A female hunter comments that even though they're weak, for low-rank hunters they're pretty tough. With that, she gets scared, wondering just how powerful the real boss must be. Suddenly, a strong tremor shakes the place, and everyone goes on high alert. A part of the stadium collapses, and a giant creature emerges from the shadows, scaring everyone. The creature's mouth starts to glow with red energy, preparing a powerful attack. The monster reveals itself to be a giant red dragon that glares at the hunters with hatred. Without mercy, the creature fires a blast of fire that hits one of the hunters dead on. The others are in shock at the power of the attack and the absurd strength of that boss. They look at each other, terrified, because they know they have no chance against a monster of that level. One of the leaders yells for everyone to evacuate because the stadium is crumbling and the boss has arrived. With its imposing wings, the dragon shows that it's the true king of this place. Desperate, the hunters run for their lives while the leader hurries everyone along. With its powerful tail, the dragon destroys part of the stadium's bleachers with a single blow. The force of the impact sends the hunters flying, and they scream in pain from the surprise attack. The female hunter runs desperately to help her partner, who was hit and fell to the ground. Looking at the scene of destruction, she realizes they don't have the slightest chance of beating the creature. With its glowing red eyes, the monster looks down on the humans as if they were mere insects. The woman despairs because she knows the power of that thing is on a whole other level. And so, the creature shows off all its imposing presence and power as the true king of that area. At that moment, our MC arrives and is surprised to see the boss on top of a building. Without a second thought, he puts his hand on the ground and yells for the giant monster to wait for him. With a confident smile, he announces he's going to set up a deadly trap for the creature right now. From there, the guy runs towards the dragon to put his risky plan into action. He thinks that if he can defeat that creature, the battle in the area will be over for good. With that, he decides to end it all using the power of a true trap master. Our MC then comes face to face with the dragon, preparing for the final fight. Meanwhile, the other hunters yell for him to get out of there, and one of them calls for the medical team. One of the leaders yells for the artillery squad not to hesitate and to fire with everything they've got. With that, several flaming arrows are fired all at once towards the giant monster. The concentrated attack hits the dragon dead on, right in the head, with a lot of force and power. With a glimmer of hope, the leader celebrates and wonders if they managed to hit the thing. But to everyone's surprise, the creature is completely unfazed by the attack and seems totally fine. Our MC notices that the beast has auto regeneration and healed all the damage instantly. He understands that to defeat a monster like this, you need to land a single, fatal blow all at once. Tsukasa thinks Asanima's invisible guard was already a pain, but this is way worse. Even so, he doesn't give up and believes with all his might that this opponent isn't invincible. With a plan in mind, he yells for the area boss to come at him with everything it's got. The female hunter is surprised by the guy's attitude and decides to join in, yelling too. She thinks that even if she can't help with the attack, she can at least serve as bait for the team. The dragon turns to her and fires a heat blast in her direction without any warning. In a pure panic, the woman closes her eyes and thinks this is it for her this time. Suddenly, she opens her eyes and realizes she survived the attack in some mysterious way. All of a sudden, our MC appears and is holding her in his arms, leaving the woman in shock. A teleportation magic circle surrounds them, and the hunter asks where the heck they are. He calmly explains that he saved her using a space warping trap right in the nick of time. That's the hazard warp, a trap that unexpectedly sends the target somewhere else. Normally this skill is a total pain, but if controlled, it can be used for emergency rescues. The woman asks who he is, but our hero says there's no time for explanations right now. He then backs away and asks her to use the radio to update all the squads on the situation. The warning is that a certain hunter is going to fight the boss alone and lead it into the city. The hunter is outraged because they lured the creature away specifically to protect the civilians. He retorts that the evacuation is already over and the city can become a battlefield. The woman is speechless as she watches the mysterious guy run back towards the danger. Meanwhile, at the stadium, the dragon continues to destroy everything with its uncontrolled fury. The creature roars in anger for failing to hit its target with the fire attack. One of the hunters runs to help his friend who was injured in the middle of all the chaos. The leader says it's no use because the creature's regeneration will finish them all off. Suddenly, a metal washbasin falls from the sky and hits the dragon square on the head. This is the washbasin drop, a trap that humiliates the target with a comical blow. Our MC glares at the beast and yells for the creature to look at him already. With a taunting smile, he offers to be the creature's opponent anytime. The dragon roars in fury and prepares another one of its powerful fire blasts. At this, the other hunters panic and wonder what that guy is thinking. Right after, the boss unleashes its fire attack with everything it's got on our hero. Tsukasa runs through the flames, dodging the blow with surprising agility. The hunters are in shock watching the scene and wonder if he has a flight skill. However, the leader denies it and says that's not it, because he saw what really happened. He noticed that our MC used a trampoline trap to launch himself into the air. Our hero thinks that he used a support trap to dodge the heat ray. That's the spring up, a trap that launches the prey into the sky and helps with aerial combat. And so he activates his trap creation once more while still in the air. From there, a new magic trampoline forms, and he gets ready for his next move. With that, he uses the trampoline to launch himself and land right on the dragon's head. Our MC lands perfectly on the giant creature, which roars in pure rage. With a determined look, he yells that he's taking the monster with him to a special place. From there, he creates 2 energy spheres and uses them to bind the dragon with a magic rope. And so, he begins to guide the creature to the grand mechanism that will lead it to its doom. With a confident smile, he flies through the city, dragging the monster to his final trap. Meanwhile, one of the hunters shouts into the radio that the area boss has left the stadium. He warns that the creature is destroying the residential area, and the hunter next to him gets worried. The woman realizes they are heading towards the city's power substation. At this, Tsukasa thinks the situation is already beyond the other hunter's control. Suddenly, the dragon fires another blast of fire, and he yells in fright at the surprise attack. The blow hits him dead on, and he's thrown back onto the creature's head with full force. With a look of panic on his face, he realizes his plan is starting to go wrong. With no time to waste, he raises his hand and activates his trap creation once more. Our MC creates a new hazard right on the creature's snout to try and save himself. The trap teleports him away, and he dodges the monster's attack by a hair. With a perfect landing, our MC celebrates because the teleport worked like a charm. He faces the beast and thinks he's close to reaching the grand mechanism he's prepared. From there, the guy puts his hand on the ground and says he's about to serve the main course. And so, Tsukasa yells, activating his trap creation one more time with everything he's got. Several purple magic circles appear out of nowhere, surrounding the giant creature on all sides. A sharp hook with a chain is the first hazard to appear for the beast. Right after, the unbreakable chains bind the dragon, sealing its movements. With the monster immobilized, a pendulum with a giant axe swings down towards it. The iron axe pendulum trap hits the beast dead on with a devastating blow. Soon after, a giant saw blade emerges from the ground to slice the dragon once and for all. The running saw hits the creature with immense force, causing absurd damage to the monster. Our MC explains that those are large-scale, special-grade deadly traps. But he knows that because of the creature's regeneration, that won't be the final blow. At this, he runs towards the dragon and says he's going to use even more intense attacks. With a battle cry, he activates his trap creation one more time with all he has. From there, a relentless rain of boulders begins to bombard the dragon without stopping. Right after, several fire turrets appear and fire at the creature with full force. The monster is hit dead on by the combination of rocks and flames with no chance to defend. Our MC yells that this is a hell of rocks and flames for the beast. He says that those are the strongest traps he can create at the moment. With the dragon cornered, he warns that the creature's regeneration won't be able to keep up. With no way out, the monster tries to escape by flying into the sky to evade the continuous attack. Our hero then tells it to fly into the sky of doom, where the grand mechanism awaits. With a victorious smile, he points upwards and says the final trap is right there. With his hand glowing blue, he yells with all his might to activate the last hazard. Suddenly, the sky darkens and a mysterious energy begins to form among the clouds. An intense light appears in the sky and faces the dragon, which is flying straight to its doom. The thunder spear pierces the flying prey with a devastating, heavenly blow. The bolt strikes the monster's chest dead on, causing massive damage and finishing the fight. He explains that this is the thunder spear trap, the strongest one in this area. Our MC reveals that he knew about the existence of this hazard from the very beginning. From the electric shock, the giant creature starts falling from the sky at high speed. But even with the powerful blow, the creature's eye still glows, showing it's not over. A red aura surrounds the monster as it recovers and roars in fury from the attack. The creature charges forward with everything it has, and Tsukasa uses a trampoline to reposition himself in the air. The dragon thinks the guy is just counter-attacking in a final act of desperation. But our hero reveals that the spear's power isn't its only special feature. With that, he creates an iron axe pendulum to destroy the transmission tower. His plan is to release all the high-voltage energy in the area at once. The spear in the creature's chest would act as a lightning rod, attracting all the electricity. From there, the combination creates a massive blow, perfect for taking out the area boss. The creature is completely engulfed by the purple energy with nowhere to escape. With a shout, our MC tells the dragon to burn to ashes with the power. That was the final blow, as the tower's energy reacted with the spear and fried the monster. Our MC watches the explosion and thinks he couldn't have pulled this off in a normal dungeon. He realizes the transmission tower was an unexpected trap for the monster. With a satisfied smile, the guy lands on the ground, ready for whatever comes next. He walks past the dragon's body and reflects that if the world is a dungeon now, things like this happen. The guy concludes that the beast was already trapped the moment it invaded their world. With the mission complete, a status screen pops up, and his level increases like crazy. He thinks he's finally proven his power is real by clearing the area all by himself. From there, he remembers the last 2 dark years of taking a non-stop beating from Asanuma. He also recalls the days he spent studying dungeons and worrying his family. In a flashback, his brother calls and tells him not to push himself so hard because his mom is worried. Even while thanking him for the support, our MC says on the phone that he never gave up. In fact, he's always been an outcast ever since he was just a little kid. With a serious look on his face, he stares at the horizon, ready for a new beginning. With the boss's end, all the other monsters in the area begin to disappear. Peace returns to the city, and as he walks, something strange happens to his foot. Looking at the dragon's body, our MC reflects on his next big goal. Without wasting time, he decides to head to the Hunter Association's communications base. That place had its communication systems down because of the break, but now that the dungeon has been conquered, he believes the communications satellite is working again. Arriving at the communications room, he finds a door locked by an electronic keypad. To solve the problem, our MC decides to use his trap creation ability. So, he creates a utility stun that disables the lock with a shock. He says he's sorry for breaking in, but since it's an emergency, he decides to enter the room. Inside, the guy finds the association's communications room and several monitors. With a sigh of relief, he realizes that luckily, the machines are still working. As he sits down, he celebrates because the security has been disabled, and he doesn't need a fingerprint. From there, he reboots the system that crashed due to the communication interruption. The computer begins a field scan to load the area's information. The analysis reveals that the area was A-level, and that the dungeon has been completely conquered. Our MC then reflects that the high difficulty makes sense because of the monsters. With a keen eye, he notices something strange on the screen that catches his attention. The system isn't just analyzing his area, but all the dungeons in the country. From there, the guy understands that an area is basically a region divided by city. Since the whole world has become a dungeon, he wonders if the system will analyze everything. In theory, it would be possible to divide and analyze all the dungeon areas in the entire world. Suddenly, the computer finishes its calculation, and our MC wonders if it's already done. However, an error pops up because the data is huge, and he can only see a 100-kilometer radius. Even without the global information, he needs to know what's happening in his region. It turns out his precious mother and his younger sister are scattered in different locations. Desperate, he tries to find out the danger level of the area where his family lives. In front of the monitors, he anxiously waits for the system's answer about the location. To his astonishment, all the areas that appear show an A-level conquest difficulty. His eyes go wide in pure shock from the information he just received. Our MC stands up in a panic because everything around is of the highest difficulty, so he fears that only his city is safe and the rest has already been devastated. In a desperate cry, he realizes the signal isn't one of total annihilation. The screen shows that the Sujitatsu area, despite having A-level difficulty, has already been conquered. Right after he observes that other areas have also been cleared or are in the process, he understands that in various places, hunters have defeated the bosses and restored communication. With a sigh of relief, our MC finally understands the whole situation. From there, it dawns on him that he's not alone, and other heroes are also in the battle. Even with the total chaos, several conquerors are emerging to fight against the monsters. Our MC then wonders if a new war of conquest has already begun for real. He notices that there are already several areas where the monsters have been completely eliminated, and so, he deduces that S-rank hunters from other districts are fighting bravely. At this, our hero calms down a bit, but his worry is still there. His priority now is to confirm his family's safety, so he searches for his mother. The screen shows that her area has been conquered, and he believes he can contact her now. Amidst the destroyed street, the sound of a ringing phone echoes, bringing a glimmer of hope. He finally manages to talk to his mother and desperately asks if she's okay. His mom says the hunters handled the situation over there, but is worried about her son. Our MC calms her down and says he's fine but asks about his sister Shiori. His mother gets a worried expression and says the call connected for a moment. Right after, the call dropped due to signal interference, leaving the guy tense. With that, he yells for his mom not to leave where she is for her own safety. Now that his mom is safe, he focuses on finding his sister Shiori and thinks about the interference. He remembers she lives in the school dorm in the West Ward and starts searching. The screen shows that the West Ward dungeon has not yet been conquered, and there's a notification. Our MC wonders what that special notification from the local hunters could be. The message says the boss is still active, but the crisis has passed, and they have it under control. Suddenly, a guy appears on the screen saying they are no longer pawns of the association. At this, our hero realizes that this isn't an official communication and someone has hacked it. The man then declares that the people of the West Ward are founding an independent nation. He's in shock because his sister Shiori's district just declared independence. Suddenly, he turns around, startled, because he noticed something strange behind him at that moment. Through the door, he sees the silhouette of an intruder and realizes the entry key has been broken. With no time to waste, our MC decides that information gathering is over and creates a trap. With that, he focuses his escape to the rooftop of the Hunter Association's communications base. From there, a purple magic circle forms on one of the boxes on top of the building. This is the Confused Leap trap, which teleports him to a random location to escape. Out of breath, he manages to make an emergency escape, but his magic power is at its limit. Although the rare item increased his magic, it only raised the maximum capacity. Because of the intense battle against the area boss, his energy is almost depleted. Looking out at the city, he thinks it's still not enough, and his cell phone starts to ring. At this, the guy picks up the device to see who's calling at that moment. To his surprise, the screen shows an incoming call from his younger sister, Shiori. Without a second thought, he answers the phone and prays that she's safe and sound. Her voice is full of static, and he realizes it's that signal interference. As expected, the area conquest isn't over yet, and he yells asking if she's okay. With a failing voice, Shiori says she's safe and tells him to focus on himself. Suddenly, the call drops and our MC stares at his phone, lost in thought. He wonders how she can say she's safe if there are still monsters over there. On top of that, the suspicious broadcast from the local hunters makes him even more suspicious. Because of this, he decides he can't worry about his depleted magic power right now. With a determined look, he yells that he's going to confirm Shiori's safety with his own eyes. The scene changes to a hunter base that has become a temporary shelter for civilians. One of the guys yells for everyone to load the supplies because the evacuees need help. Just then, a man notices that the magic power recovery potions are running low. Our MC then drinks one of the potions he grabbed to recover his energy. He thinks he'll just borrow a few, because if he does his part, it won't be a problem. With a final gulp, he finishes drinking the green liquid to get ready for the journey. right after his magic power is fully restored and he feels ready for a fight. He analyzes the map and realizes that to get to the West Ward, he needs to pass through 2 other areas. According to the base's information, the Kawabe and Iwatani dungeons haven't been cleared yet. At this, he understands that fighting monsters along the way will be unavoidable. He questions whether he can cross the areas alone with his current stats. If he faces another area boss, he knows he'll be in big trouble because his magic might run out. To prevent that from happening, our MC knows exactly what he needs to do. With a confident smile, he decides he needs to level up to increase his magic capacity, and so he heads into the Kawabe ward, determined to level up no matter the cost. As he steps over the border, a blue light appears, marking the beginning of his dangerous journey. From there, his first mission as a hunter, the dungeon traversal, finally begins. A world that was peaceful just a few days ago has now turned into a dungeon with dangerous areas. Even if one area is cleared, the neighboring one has another boss, and the battle continues non-stop. He enters the Kawabe ward, a place where the dungeon hasn't been conquered and monsters can appear. Suddenly, 2 guys appear and one of them points, saying he looks like a hunter, just like them. They approach and ask if our MC has any rare items because they're out of gear. Tsukasa says no, and the guy complains that everyone says the same thing with a disappointed look. With that, the man says there's no other way and activates a claw weapon on his hand, ready to attack. Our MC is in shock as he realizes he's walked into an ambush by evil hunters. The evil hunter warns that he's about to get hurt and lunges at him with his claws. Because of this, our MC dodges the man's fast and slicing attacks by a hair. With a serious look, he realizes that these guys aren't normal hunters, but thugs. Right after, the 2 criminals attack together to try and catch Tsukasa once and for all. Faced with the situation, the guy decides to use his trap creation to deal with the threat. The thug smiles confidently when he sees the purple magic circle forming right above him. From there, a giant boulder falls from the sky and crushes the 2 men with disastrous weight. The 2 hunters are pinned to the ground, unable to move because of the trap. Our MC then wonders if taking out humans would also give him experience points. He thinks the possibility isn't 0 and needs to keep a close eye on violent hunters. But Tsukasa decides he doesn't need to fight people, and will just focus on the monsters in the area. With a confident smile, he decides to test out a specific trap to farm experience. The scene changes to the Kawabe Ward Plaza, where 2 robot monsters are firing red beams. A woman passing by screams in panic as she's almost hit by the powerful attack. The robotic creature then turns to her and seems to be confused by something. The monster is confused because it's hearing the sound of a whistle coming from somewhere. Turns out that's a whistle doll, a trap that attracts monsters with its sound. Hiding in a tree, Tsukasa thinks that with this trap, all the monsters will gather together. Soon, 4 creatures assemble, but he thinks that's still not enough to farm experience. So, the guy decides to create one more hazard to deal with the robots that showed up. Suddenly, a purple energy appears on the ground and scares all the monsters that were there. One of the creatures tries to escape, but ends up getting zapped by the magic trap on the ground. The shock is so strong that the monster is completely paralyzed, unable to move. At this, a cage appears out of nowhere, and a lock seals the passage to trap the targets. The iron cage trap captures the 4 monsters, who scream in desperation at the situation. Our MC then approaches the cage to begin the next phase of his plan. With a confident smile, he gets ready and says the trap creation is about to begin. From there, a mirror of white light appears in front of one of the monsters trapped in the cage. The creature stares at its own reflection in the mirror and has no reaction to the image. Right after, the robot starts to disintegrate into particles of dust, not understanding a thing. That is the copy mirror trap, which reflects and multiplies the monsters trapped in the cage. With a wicked smile, our MC thinks that a trap like this is the worst of them all. Normally, a hazard that multiplies enemies would be something no one would want to find. But for Tsukasa, inside the cage, it doesn't matter, and he tells the creatures to multiply. He yells for the monsters to continue the process until the cage is completely full. His logic is simple: the more enemies he defeats, the more experience points he'll gain. With a determined look, the guy says he's going to take them all out at once and get stronger. From there, the cage gets packed with robots screaming in desperation from being squeezed together. Looking at the full cage, he gets ready to activate the final mechanism and end the party. And so, our hero activates his trap creation one more time with everything he's got. A giant magic circle forms right above the cage and glows with a purple energy. The monsters inside are terrified because they realize something terrible is about to happen. A giant boulder falls from the sky and crushes the cage with disastrous, large-scale weight. With a satisfied smile, Tsukasa celebrates because his trap sweeping technique worked. He then names his strategy of multiplying and crushing monsters the I Experience Cube. He gets excited because he defeated dozens or even hundreds of monsters with his plan. At this, several status screens pop up, and he levels up like crazy, Besides leveling up, he's surprised because he also acquired a new ability. The screen reveals his new skill, Trap Domination, which controls trap-type monsters. And so, he reads the description carefully to understand how the new power works. Our MC understands that with this, he can turn monsters into his allies. Suddenly, he stops walking because he notices something strange moving nearby. That's a survivor from his attack, and he thinks it's perfect for testing out the new skill. With a confident smile, he gets ready to use the ability and see if it works. From there, a green magic circle forms in his hand, ready to be activated. With a powerful shout, he activates Trap Domination with everything he has. The green energy hits the creature, but to his surprise, the power is immediately repelled. He's in shock because the ability simply doesn't work, and the monster isn't dominated. Tsukasa then rereads the description and realizes the skill only works on trap-type monsters. Because of this, the technique is useless against normal monsters and won't do any good. Unable to use the new skill, he creates a finishing sword that takes the monster out for good. With that, he thinks that now that he's leveled up, he needs to find his sister Shiori and investigate the area. He decides he's put off what he needs to do for too long, and it's time to act. And so, our MC places his hand on the ground, which glows with an intense blue aura. From there, the guy activates his scan to search for pre-existing traps in the area. With his special vision, he analyzes the area to know where the dangers are and what type they are. The scan reveals a museum where several traps are concentrated in a single place. Looking deeper, he's shocked to discover an underground passage that's several kilometers long. His eyes sparkle because he can't believe a structure like that exists underground. With a smile, our MC stands up because he seems to have understood what that means. At this point, he realizes he has no choice but to go to that museum. Without wasting time, the guy starts walking towards his next big objective. He then enters a dark, dense forest to get to his destination faster. Suddenly, Tsukasa stops walking and turns around, startled by something he saw there. He's surprised to find a huge lake right in the middle of that dark forest. Because of the lake, he deduces that the museum must be very close to that spot. Right after, our MC finds the building and celebrates having found the place. He believes the underground passage is under the building, and his intuition is right. Without wasting time, the guy enters the museum, and the door closes behind him with a thud. According to his scan, the inside of the building is completely filled with traps. Because of this, he decides to walk very carefully so as not to accidentally trigger any hazards. Suddenly, he notices a chest moving and yells that the creature was being way too obvious the whole time. And so, he decides to use his new Trap Domination ability on the monster. The green energy hits the chest, which is surprised and has no reaction to the skill's power. Our MC is happy because the technique worked, and now he has a new ally. As he suspected, that's a mimic, a monster disguised as a treasure chest. This creature pretends to be a chest to attack hunters, and its very existence is a trap. He was able to see the creature clearly because of the scan, and he understands what that means. With a victorious smile, our MC celebrates because the domination was a huge success. From there, the mimic becomes his ally, and a green emblem appears to seal the pact. Suddenly, the mimic jumps on top of our MC, who is shocked by the attack. He panics because he thinks the creature is attacking him and that his skill failed. With that, the guy is knocked to the floor and thinks he let his guard down and this is it for him. The impact throws him hard to the ground and he yells in pain from the unexpected fall. Lying on the floor, he complains about the pain but realizes the monster is just sitting on his lap. The creature then makes a cute face like a puppy and lets out a sweet sound. Right after, the creature clings to our MC's leg, who doesn't understand a thing. He then realizes the creature seems to be attached to him in some weird way. The little monster keeps making cute sounds as if it's happy to have a new owner. The whole situation makes our hero a bit uncomfortable, but he tries to ignore it. Despite it being a little bizarre, he confirms that the domination worked and the monster became his ally. Now with the skill confirmed, he opens a trapdoor and gets ready to head into the underground passage. Our MC goes down the stairs with his new ally right behind him for the next phase. He realizes such a large passage didn't exist here before and was created when the district became a dungeon. And so, he deduces that if a space was created, it must have a purpose, like a secret shortcut. So, he believes this passage is the best way to avoid fighting at every step. With a serious look, our MC hopes his theory about the shortcut is correct, but he knows that in exchange for speed, this path surely hides enormous dangers. Looking at his new companion, the guy decides he can't call him Mimic anymore. From there, with a smile on his face, he christens the little creature with the name Mimi. The little monster seems to have really liked the name and looks at him with big, shiny eyes. Suddenly, Mimi jumps on him and our hero wonders what's with all the excitement. He then warns his new partner to get ready because the journey from here on out will be dangerous. The little creature makes a confident sound, showing that it's more than ready for a fight. Our MC understands he'll have help, and with that, he feels much safer to continue. With determination, he approaches the giant door and opens it to see what's on the other side. As he opens a crack, he's met with a dark silhouette and a very sinister purple energy. The figure reveals itself to be a giant knight with imposing and terrifying armor. A torch on the wall lights up the area, revealing a few more details of the place. Before him, our MC observes a knight statue that looks very similar to the monster. He analyzes the room and notices that there's only the statue and the exit door at the back. With that, our MC starts to walk slowly with Mimi following close behind. He carefully approaches the knight statue to see what will happen. With a focused gaze, he was already expecting something strange to happen at any moment. Suddenly, the stone statue comes to life and raises its sword to attack with everything it's got. Without wasting time, the guy activates one of his abilities, creating a purple aura in his hand. Right after, a stone wall appears and successfully blocks the monster's blow. The creature is unfazed and prepares to deliver another powerful attack against him. But the magic wall can't withstand the force and starts to crack from the blade's impact. Tsukasa then confirms that, just as he thought, this is a trap-type monster. He already knew there was a high-level hazard in the room because of his earlier scan. The problem is that his domination doesn't work on statues, and he needed the creature to transform. Because of this, he approached on purpose, but something unexpected catches him by surprise. The creature moves very fast and appears right behind him, ready to attack again. At this, our MC creates an iron wall to defend himself from the surprise blow. He's shocked because the creature is way too strong, and his iron wall shatters into pieces. With that, the creature charges at high speed towards our MC. He manages to dodge by a hair but realizes the monster is incredibly fast. The knight moves in random trajectories, leaving the guy pretty confused by its tactic. With these erratic movements, he realizes the monster is aiming for something. His eyes go wide as he understands that the creature's target is his blind spot. And so, he creates a diamond shield to block the attack on his back in the nick of time. With this, he confirms that the creature is definitely aiming for his back to attack. But since it's a trapped monster, he knows he doesn't have to fight it head-on to win. With a plan in mind, he gets ready to use his trap domination on the creature. The green energy hits the knight dead on, which is paralyzed by the ability's power. The skill's power completely surrounds it, and our hero believes the fight is finally over. However, he's shocked to realize that even though it hit, the technique isn't working. With a look of panic, he wonders why the heck his domination was completely nullified. From there, he understands that his skill level is still too low for high-level monsters. Despite the failure, he doesn't give up and decides he'll keep trying until it works. With that, he believes that if he hits the creature several times, the skill should work. From there, he tries to use trap domination one more time with everything he's got. But he gets frustrated because the monster is too fast, and the first hit was just luck. And so, he realizes he needs to read the creature's trajectory to land the technique. Our MC then concentrates and thinks there must be a way to win. With a new idea, he puts his hand on the ground to create a trap and lure the creature. From there, he uses his trap creation to set the stage for his plan. The knight charges to attack, but our hero dodges at the last second. Suddenly, the creature stops moving and is completely drenched in water. His grand trap is a wash basin of water that gets the knight wet without causing damage. The monster stands still, completely confused by what just happened there. With the floor all wet, the knight attacks in a fury, and the guy dodges by a hair. Our MC gets ready because his real plan is about to begin. With a smile, he notices that the joke trap made the monster furious. The knight charges once more, but now it doesn't seem as fast as before. It turns out that because it's all wet, its movements leave water trails on the floor. With that, our MC can finally see where the creature is moving. He understands that by following the water marks, he can read the monster's behavior pattern. And so, he aims where the creature is going to be and uses his trap domination again. The green energy hits the knight dead on, which tries to resist the ability's power. The monster is hit but doesn't seem fazed and continues to advance with its sword. But Tsukasa doesn't give up and keeps using his domination nonstop to stack the effects. He believes that if he keeps hitting the creature, the technique's effects will accumulate. With a final war cry, he launches another one of his powerful dominations at the monster. Our hero is confident that sooner or later, the ability will finally work. With a determined look, he yells that he's gonna make that high-level creature his ally. Meanwhile, Mimi hides behind a pillar, watching the battle from afar. The knight stops moving, and the guy is out of breath after using his skill so much. With his mana bar almost empty, he realizes he only has energy for one more shot. Faced with this, he wonders if he can finish the fight with his last chance. The creature doesn't give him time to think and charges once more to attack with everything it has. With that, our MC decides he's going to bet it all on this one desperate final blow. He then yells with all his strength for the ability to finally work for good. And so, the guy uses his trap domination with the energy he has left. The knight charges for the final blow while our hero prepares his counter-attack. With a shout of determination, he fires the ability that will decide the course of the battle. From there, a huge explosion of green energy hits the monster dead on with everything. At this, a thick smoke covers the entire battlefield, making it impossible to see anything. Out of breath, our MC tries to see the result of his risky plan. He notices the knight's movements have stopped and wonders if the technique worked. Right after, the monster's killer aura starts to fade away very quickly. With a smile of relief, he celebrates because his subjugation was a total success. From there, the creature drives its sword into the ground with a dull, imposing thud. To his surprise, the knight kneels and apologizes to its new master. Our MC is in shock because the creature was able to speak to him. Still surprised, the guy asks who the heck it really is to have that ability. To his surprise, the knight starts to take off its helmet, revealing who's underneath. Underneath the heavy armor was actually a beautiful elf with long white hair. The warrior reveals herself completely, showing her imposing and powerful appearance. At this revelation, our MC is left speechless by what he just discovered. The elf says she is no one and asks him to give her a name and accept her as his servant. A little embarrassed, the guy agrees and thinks she needs a suitable name. With a smile, he decides that her name from now on will be Jane. The elf gets emotional and repeats the name, Jean, with pure happiness on her face. With great honor, she accepts the name and asks to be called that from now on. Suddenly, our MC is startled by a strange noise that comes out of nowhere. The sound was actually little Mimi, who screams out of pure jealousy at the scene. The little monster charges right at Jean, who faces it with complete calm. Calmly, the elf holds Mimi and says that he's the senior here and she will respect his position. Our MC is confused by the scene and realizes that even monsters have a pecking order. At this, he realizes it's not the time for this and that they need to hurry, but Jane stops him from continuing and asks her new master to wait a bit. The elf explains that by defeating her, the next event was triggered and the boss battle is about to begin. In a panic, our hero asks what she's talking about, and the warrior says the boss is going to awaken. With a serious look, she reveals that she is the guardian of this dungeon and her job is to protect the place. And so, her transformation into a monster and the fight against him served as a signal for the boss. The elf adds that the battle is inevitable, and it's impossible to leave without defeating the monster. Our MC despairs because he thought he had chosen the easiest path to escape. Without a second thought, he decides he's going to give up on the passage and go back to the surface. However, Jane warns with a serious look that this won't work at all. She explains that the door can no longer be moved by human strength because retreating is impossible. From there, the warrior points forward and says the only way is the boss room. At this, our hero retorts that fighting is impossible because he's out of magic power. Suddenly, Mimi pokes him, and the guy turns to see what his little ally wants. Mimi then opens its mouth and starts to spit something out for its master. Our MC is surprised because the little monster hands him a magic potion. To his surprise, that's a magic power recovery potion that he desperately needed. With a smile, he realizes that Mimi has a storage function and can hold anything. From there, he takes the potion and feels totally prepared for the next battle. Jane then asks if he can use advanced water magic because without it, it's no use. She explains that the area boss is like the incarnation of flames and needs a concentrated water attack. Our MC says water magic is difficult and the trap he used on her is his limit. With that, he starts to think of a strategy, and suddenly Mimi gets his attention. The little monster makes a question mark face, and our hero seems to have a new idea. He then asks Jean if the door can't be opened by humans, and she confirms it. With a confident smile on his face, our MC seems to have a new plan in mind. He then asks if monsters like her and Mimi could open the door for them to escape. The elf replies that if they're monsters, a retreat would probably be possible. Suddenly, a strong tremor shakes the place, and the two of them go on high alert. Jane explains that the master of the dungeon has lost its patience and decided to attack with everything. Right after, the large door at the end of the room is engulfed in flames and starts to break. The elf then yells for her master to use a defense magic, because the flames are coming. With no time to waste, our MC creates a purple barrier to protect himself from the attack. From there, a huge explosion of fire destroys the door and engulfs the entire room. The flames surround the two of them on all sides, and our hero realizes the danger he's in. With his magic shield, he protects his allies from the fire that burns everything to ashes. Looking at the scene, the guy is surprised to see that the flames are forming a giant phoenix in the air. He's shocked by so much power and notices that the entire room is starting to crumble. With that, our MC creates a blue energy shield to protect himself from the debris. The ceiling continues to collapse, but the protective barrier manages to withstand the impact. After the dust settles, they realize they're standing on top of a large magic circle. With a serious look on his face, Tsukasa seems to understand what's about to happen. Before them, a giant creature made of pure fire appears, and Jean calls it the boss. That is the monster known as the incarnation of fire and the true boss of the area. From there, our MC realizes that the whole place is starting to fall apart. With that, he knows he can't just stand there and needs to move before everything collapses. Looking at Mimi, he says he has a favor to ask and wants his ally to act alone. He then whispers for the little monster to go back the way they came and get out of there. But Jean yells desperately because the area boss is preparing a new attack. The fire creature roars in fury and charges at them with everything it has, leaving no chance for defense. Even with the dangerous situation, our MC faces the monster with a determined look. And so, he pushes Mimi towards the door so the little monster can escape in time. Now alone, the guy and the elf prepare to face the incarnation of fire. Looking back, our hero yells out in worry, asking about his little companion. To his relief, he sees that Mimi is running safely towards the exit door. His plan is that since he's human, the door would lock and prevent him from escaping. But the elf said that allied monsters like Mimi could open the door and come back. With this hope, our MC yells that now everything depends on his little monster. Facing the boss, he activates his trap creation to start the battle for real. The trap he creates is a mysterious wormhole that can spit out objects. The fire boss wastes no time and launches an attack at them with everything it has. At this, the guy yells to Jean that a second wave of attacks is coming. The creature then shoots several fireballs from its mouth at high speed. To protect him, the elf steps in front and uses her sword to slice through the flames. With a swift movement, the warrior manages to defend her master from the creature's attack. With a smile, our MC thanks Jean for her help at that moment. He then says he doesn't need help dodging anymore, and that he'll be the bait. The plan is for Jean to attack the monster's left leg to immobilize it. The elf accepts the order and says she will complete the mission even if it costs her her life. He thinks that now the rest of the plan depends on little Mimi pulling it off. The first order was to leave the museum the same way they came in before. Right after, the creature runs at high speed through the dark forest. Its final destination is the large lake on the other side of that forest. With a determined look, the little monster prepares to carry out its big mission. Arriving at the lake's edge, Mimi gets ready to execute its master's order. With a big leap, the creature throws itself into the water to complete the final part of the plan. Meanwhile, the fire boss roars in fury and gets ready for another attack. The creature attacks and our MC creates a diamond shield to defend himself. Struggling to hold back the blow, he yells desperately, asking for Jean. The elf then yells that she's found an opening, and that now is the time to follow the order. And so, she charges forward and cuts the creature's leg with her sharp sword. The boss roars in pain from the surprise blow it just took from the warrior. Seizing the chance, our hero uses his wormhole to trap the monster. With that, the creature's movements are sealed, and it's stuck under the trap. He thinks that now the rest depends on Mimi and that special item it's carrying. At the bottom of the lake, Mimi opens its mouth and reveals what it was holding the whole time. That was the other wormhole, which will connect to the first one he created. When it's placed at the bottom of the lake, the trap connects to the exit in the dungeon. At this point, the fire boss is now completely trapped with nowhere to go. With the plan in action, the fire creature feels a drop of water fall on its head. The monster then stares at the wormhole, not understanding what the heck is going on. Looking at the scene, our MC gives a slight smile because his plan worked perfectly. The boss is surprised to realize that a large amount of water is about to fall. From there, the lake water comes pouring down and hits the creature with absurd force. The monster tries to protect itself, but its flames start to go out from the power of the water. And so, the entire place starts to get flooded by the waterfall that formed there. Tsukasa then yells for Jean to stay behind him so she doesn't get swept away by the current. With no time to waste, he puts his hand on the ground and activates his trap creation again. From there, a giant wall appears in front of them to block the water's passage. The prison wall is a trap that blocks anything coming from the outside. With the situation under control, he celebrates because his water torture was a total success. He explains that to beat the boss, he would need an army of water mages. Because of that, the only way out was to use the lake outside and send Mimi over there. With the wormhole in the lake, he managed to connect the 2 points and bring the water in. The fire boss screams in pain as the water relentlessly puts out its flames. The creature tries to resist, but its fiery body begins to fall apart from the water. With the flames extinguished, a glowing core appears in the giant monster's chest. Jane yells that the enemy's core has appeared and that they need to destroy it now. At this, our MC gets ready to use his trap creation. With a shout, he creates a finishing sword from a magic circle. The sword flies at high speed to deliver the final blow to the weakened creature. The blow hits the core dead on and the boss's body starts to turn to stone. Right after, the creature collapses and the waterfall finally stops pouring. With the enemy defeated, the wormhole in the ceiling starts to close slowly. On the other side, Mimi closes the portal in the lake with its special ability. With that, our MC and Jean can finally relax a bit. Suddenly, little Mimi emerges from the puddle of water and lets out a cute celebratory sound. With a smile they celebrate because the subjugation of the area boss was complete. With that, he thanks his little ally, but something strange happens to his hand. Suddenly Mimi squeals with joy, and our MC kneels surprised by an object. A dagger shrouded in magic power was stuck right in the stone body of the boss. Jean then explains that this is the area's hidden item and asks him to accept it. Our MC gets thoughtful because he's never heard of an item like this before. With that, he wonders if this is an ultra, rare and hard to get treasure. The elf reveals that the item was at the bottom of the lake and came through the portal with the water. With a victorious smile, the guy holds his new and powerful reward in his hands. He then reflects that he would have never imagined an item like this at the bottom of that lake. The screen reveals the weapon's name as the Mystic Lightblade, but with unknown effects. With that, he decides he'll figure out the weapon's powers by using it in combat. Suddenly, a strong tremor shakes the place, and the boss's body starts to tremble violently. Our MC is startled by the noise, but Jane tells him to stay calm. She explains that the tremor comes with the subjugation, and the passage is moving. And so, the passage opens a path to the next area, which is the escape route. The scene changes, and we see the border between the Iwatani and Kawabe wards in the city. Our MC climbs out of a manhole and realizes he's right on the area's border. He thinks that despite everything, he managed to get this far, but a voice calls out to him. A man asks what he's doing here, and the guy turns around, startled by the situation. Without a second thought, he shoves Jean back into the manhole and tells her to hide. From there, he turns to face the group of men approaching him. One of the hunters scolds him, saying not to wander alone in an emergency. Our MC recognizes the uniforms of the Hunter Association's rescue squad. At this, one of the group leaders tells the others to make way for them to pass. The man then faces him and asks if he is the S-rank hunter Ninomiya. With a smile, the guy shows the young man's profile and says his reputation has already spread. He explains that the rumor of our MC taking down an area boss alone has already gotten around. The guy remembers the battle against the dragon and admits he made quite a scene. And so, the man invites him to join their squad and work together. To convince him, the guy says he can use his authority to register him as a hunter. Our MC is speechless because this is the recruitment he's always dreamed of. Faced with the offer, our MC clenches his fist tightly as he needs to make a decision. To everyone's surprise, he bows and says he completely refuses the man's offer. The squad leader is in shock and asks if he's going to continue acting as an independent hunter. Without another word, the guy remains bowed as a sign of respect and gratitude for the chance. With that, the man understands he has his reasons, and that it was a good opportunity to gain fighting power. And so, the leader says if he wants to act alone, that's fine, but to be careful on his way. He then warns him because he's heard that illegal hunters are committing crimes in the Iwatani ward. Our MC remembers the thugs he encountered and gets worried about the way the man spoke. He thinks if the association is warning about them, they must be more dangerous, and he needs to stay alert. From there, he helps Jean out of the manhole and says everything's fine now. The elf asks if he's sure about not joining them, while the guy helps Mimi out of the hole. He confirms, saying he doesn't need the registration anymore, because with the world becoming a dungeon, it doesn't matter. Besides, he thinks he can't trust anyone anymore, not even the Hunter Association. With a smile on his face, he reveals that he actually already has his own teammates. Looking at his allies, he adds that they are the most trustworthy companions he could ask for. At this, Jane and Mimi give a happy smile for their new master. Now in the Iwatani ward, our MC decides he'll start with a trap scan. With that, he places his hand on the ground to confirm the area's features and find the best path. The scan shows a map of the place, and he wonders what the heck is in this area. Suddenly, a giant purple spot appears on the screen, making the guy very suspicious. Our MC is in shock because he's never seen anything like that in his scans before. From there, he realizes that this could be something very dangerous up ahead. Following the location, they arrive on the outskirts of the Iwatani ward, and our hero already knows what to do. The place his scan showed is an amusement park, and the mysterious mark is there. He thinks that's a mark he's never seen before, and leaving it behind could be dangerous. At this, he remembers his goal is to find his sister Shiori in the West Ward as quickly as possible. But the dangerous mark bothers him a lot, and he decides to investigate the place just in case. As he walks, little Mimi starts to behave in a very strange way. Our MC stops walking because he realizes something is very wrong here. Suddenly, a giant concrete box falls from the sky right in front of them out of nowhere. Our MC wonders if the concrete box is that mysterious mark he saw. At this, he approaches a metal plate that's right next to the object. The plate says that here sleeps the destroyer that crushes any rock, and no one should touch it. He's confused about what a destroyer is and wonders if it's a grand mechanism. Jane warns him, saying the device could be a catastrophe-level trap. She explains that it's a large-scale hazard, very different from normal ones and extremely rare. He thinks he's never heard of that, not even in the Hunter Association's records. At this, the guy gets a bad feeling about accidentally activating the trap. And so, he decides that as curious as he is, it's better for them to get out of there. The group then leaves the park behind and enters a forest to continue on their way. Our MC thinks this is the best shortcut, but it's still a risky bet. Suddenly, he stops walking because he hears something strange coming from up ahead. He sees a group of hunters fighting a monster, and one of them yells not to retreat. The guy notices that despite being strong, the hunters don't seem to have much experience. With a powerful blow, the creature hits the hunters, who go flying with no chance. Watching the scene, our MC realizes that if he doesn't help, it's only a matter of time before everyone there is annihilated. Without a second thought, the guy runs towards the battle to try and save the group of hunters. Suddenly, he stops in his tracks because something completely unexpected has just happened. A flash of golden light appears out of nowhere and hits the creature with absurd speed. Right after, a mysterious female hunter appears in the air and attacks the monster with her sword. With a single powerful blow, the warrior strikes the ground and creates a huge shockwave. Tsukasa is completely speechless because he didn't expect someone else to interfere in the fight. From there, Jane and Mimi approach, and the elf worriedly asks if her master is okay. Before them, the giant creature that was attacking the hunters was completely defeated in one go. Our MC is still in shock, as he doesn't understand what just happened. The mysterious female hunter then lands gracefully on the ground after her devastating attack. The other hunters are dumbfounded because the monster was defeated in the blink of an eye. The warrior turns to them and apologizes for suddenly intruding on their battle. With a smile, she introduces herself as Asahina Yui, an S-rank hunter from the association. The woman explains that she was on a mission to investigate the area boss and ended up finding them. Hiding, our MC is impressed by the woman's power and thinks her move was incredible. From there, Yui says she was looking for companions and invites them to join her. The group of hunters is interested in the offer, but she says there's a small condition. With a serious look, the warrior warns that the mission doesn't end when they find the boss, and a fight is certain. At this warning, the hunters give a slight smile and don't seem to care about the danger. The group's leader agrees on the spot and says they are A-rank hunters and can handle it. Excited about the new partnership, they celebrate and get ready to go after the big boss. With a gentle smile, Asahina Yu tells everyone to go and seems happy to have new allies. But in her thoughts, she calls them knave because she knows they won't last in the fight. Jane then asks what they should do, and our MC says not to get involved in this. With a determined look, he decides to ignore the group and focus on crossing the forest. After a while, they reach a river, and the guy is surprised by the size of the area. Even though the path is long, he says they just need to keep moving forward to reach their destination. Suddenly, Tsukasa stops walking and is confused because he noticed something strange in the area. With a hand on his head, he complains that ever since he entered this area, only bizarre things have happened. And so, he angrily yells for whoever is hiding there to come out at once. Faced with silence, our MC decides he's going to force the intruder to show themselves. With that, purple aura appears in his hand, and he gets ready to use his trap creation. With a powerful shout, he threatens to use his power if the intruder keeps hiding. Suddenly, a terrified man comes out from behind the rocks, begging not to be offed. The guy says in desperation that he's just a regular civilian who is passing by. Then he kneels on the ground and begs not to become monster food. Our MC is confused by what he said and wonders what he's talking about. Right after, Mimi appears out of nowhere and scares the poor man even more. From there, he understands that with his strange companions, it's normal for the guy to be scared. With that, Tsukasa apologizes for the misunderstanding and says he's an independent hunter. The man is shocked by the revelation and asks if he's really a hunter. Upon confirmation, the guy clings to his leg and desperately begs for help. He explains that he got lost and asks our MC to take him to a safe place. Our hero thinks this is a problem because he's in a big hurry right now. Despite the rush, he thinks that monsters do appear here, and it would be wrong to just abandon the guy. With that, he remembers the group of hunters and thinks about asking them to protect the man. He then says with a smile that he'll find an association squad to protect him. The man celebrates desperately because he's saved and will finally be able to go home safely. Suddenly, Mimi scares him once more, and the guy screams in pure panic at the creature. Tsukasa scolds his ally and apologizes to the man for the little monster's behavior, but he thinks that walking around with monsters like these is dangerous and attracts the association's attention. and so he asks Jean to wait here with Mimi because he alone is enough to be a guide. The elf agrees with the order, and our MC asks the man to follow him. The two then start walking towards the forest to find the hunter squad. The man comments that it's a relief to have found a hunter and that he's safe now, but our MC warns him not to let his guard down because a monster could attack at any moment. At the warning, the man gives a wicked smile and gets ready to do something. With a psycho look, he says the hunter is naive and that it's not just monsters he should fear. Suddenly, he attacks our hero from behind with a yellow energy in his hand to take him down. But our MC was already prepared and creates a trap to defend himself from the surprise blow. The thug is shocked because he didn't expect the guy to react so quickly. The counter-attack trap hits the attacker's face dead on with a powerful punch. From the impact, the man goes flying, and our hero says he was expecting that all along. He adds that he had already been warned about the illegal and malicious hunters in this area. Lying on the ground, the man gives a wicked smile and confirms that he is one of the hunter thugs. Even so, he doesn't give up and gets up to show one of his special abilities. With a victorious smile, he reveals a blue sword and asks if our hero noticed that he stole it. Our MC is in shock because he recognizes that weapon from somewhere. He remembers that it's the mystic light blade he got from the boss in the other area. The thief then mocks the guy and says he was very careless to let that happen. He explains that he used his skill right when he was hit to take the opponent's rarest item. His ability is called Rarity Steal and is used to take the enemy's strongest equipment. With a wicked smile, the thug brags that this is his great special ability. From there, he charges forward with everything and yells that with a busted skill like this, he's simply invincible. But suddenly, a blue magic circle appears under him and traps him with sharp vines. The thug is surprised and doesn't understand how the heck a trap just appeared out of nowhere. With that, the vines bind him tightly and lift him into the air, leaving him completely immobilized. That is the binding vine trap, which mercilessly captures forest intruders. Our MC then says he didn't do anything, and that it was just a hazard that was already there. With a slight smile, he reveals that he purposely threw him near the containment trap. He explains that with his scan, he can see the location of hazards in advance. With the sword in hand, he warns that the thug isn't the only one with busted abilities around here. And so, he asks what he should do now, since he still hasn't used the item he got back. With the blade to the man's neck, he gets ready to end the fight once and for all. Our MC then invites him to be his guinea pig to test the power of the new weapon. In a pure panic, the attacker begs not to be taken out and says he'll tell him a big secret. He reveals that he knows the location of the hidden and ultra-rare item in this specific area. Our hero is surprised by the information and wonders if that's really true. With a suspicious look, he questions how the heck the man knows something like that. The man yells that it's true and he knows where the hidden item is and asks to be let go. With a suspicious look, our MC asks if he really knows the location. Tsukasa thinks that he used the scan as soon as he entered but didn't find any likely spots. He reflects that if the item were in a place with a lot of traps, it would be much easier. Normally, rare items are protected by many hazards and his skill is perfect for that. However, sometimes they're in remote places, and in that case, his power doesn't help much. At this, he deduces that this time the treasure is in one of those undetectable areas. Suddenly, Jane appears and worriedly asks if her master is okay, and he calls her over. The elf explains that she heard the sounds of battle and ran with Mimi to help in the fight. Our MC is happy with their concern and apologizes for the scare. He then explains to the elf that this guy is an illegal hunter that he just captured. With that, Jane understands the situation and asks her master to leave the final blow to her. From there, the warrior readies her sword with a threatening look towards the thug. The man's eyes go wide in pure terror as he realizes his end is near. Desperate, he yells for the elf to wait and asks them to listen because he has something to say. Desperate, the man yells that he saw a clue to the hidden item and that he's not lying. At this, our MC and Jean stare at the thug with a very suspicious look. To save himself, he begins to tell them that he was looking for a hunter to ambush. The thug explains that for this, he walked deep into an isolated canyon. Suddenly, the cliff in front of him began to shake and move strangely. From there, a giant stone monster with red eyes appeared right in front of him. Losing patience, Tsukasa asks what the heck that has to do with the hidden item. The man gets annoyed and calls him stupid, saying the answer to that is pretty obvious. He yells that such a strong and resilient monster must surely be guarding the treasure. Our MC finds the idea a bit too simplistic but thinks it might be possible. With that, Jane warns her master that it's dangerous to believe the guy, but not impossible. She explains that to trick hunters, sometimes the items are in simple places. Because of what Jean said, our hero decides it might be worth believing him. Reluctantly, he draws his magic blade and gets ready to go to that location. He announces that they're going to get the item because there's a chance it could be something that helps find Shiori. Our MC tells the thug to lead them to the stone monster without removing the vines. Suddenly, his eyes go wide as he notices a strange gleam in the middle of the forest. Right after, the guy goes on alert at the sound of a blade cutting through the air. The golden gleam approaches them at high speed, indicating a powerful attack. He turns around in shock because he didn't expect someone to appear out of nowhere. The mysterious female hunter cuts the vines, and our MC jumps back to protect himself. With the blow, the trap is undone, and the thug finally manages to break free from the vines. Jane and Mimi run over worried, but Tsukasa says he's fine. The warrior then yells for him to stop, because he's gone too far with his evil deeds. She says she heard about illegal hunters, and is sure he's one of them. Our MC is shocked to realize she's the S-rank hunter who was looking for the boss. Meanwhile, Jane notices that the other hunters from her group have also appeared. The men surround the elf and little Mimi, getting ready to attack both of them at any moment. One of them yells that he's going to defeat the despicable illegal hunter and wipe them out. And so, he charges forward and attacks the little monster along with the other monsters in the area. Our MC yells for Jean to be careful, because those guys have gotten it all wrong. The female hunter attacks, and the guy creates a shield trap to defend against the blow. The abrupt shield is a weak wooden trap that appears out of nowhere to block attacks. With difficulty, he manages to hold back the hunter's strength and grits his teeth in pain. Jane yells out, worried for her master, but the hunter is unfazed by the scene. The woman says the fact that he commands evil creatures is proof that he is evil. He yells for her not to jump to conclusions because she's fighting the wrong person. Meanwhile, the thug celebrates his luck and decides it's time to get out of there. Jean then asks if her master wants her to annihilate all those hunters. The female hunter is in shock and speechless at what the elf just said to them. At this, our MC forbids her and tells her to grab Mimi and get out of there now. Jane understands the order and says she will retreat from the location immediately to protect them. And so, she dodges the hunter's attacks with surprising agility. The men are shocked by her speed and yell that they can't catch her. The female hunter watches the scene with a serious and focused look on what she'll do next. With a swing of her sword, the hunter breaks the shield and prepares for the next attack. The other hunters watch from a distance as she charges towards our MC. The woman then yells not to worry about the monsters and to surround the evil leader. Tsukasa faces the hunter with a serious look and doesn't seem intimidated by the situation. She compliments him for letting his companions escape and staying behind to fight. From there, the warrior says it's now 4 against 1, and he has nowhere to run. Our MC tells her not to be mistaken, because he didn't stay behind out of desperation. The hunter is confused and doesn't understand what the heck he's trying to say. With a confident smile, he says that 1 against many is perfect for testing his new weapon. With a swift movement, the guy gets ready to use the mystic light blade in battle. He then yells for the sword to dance wildly to the unknown trap. The screen reveals that the weapon is a rare item with an invisible power and unknown effects. With a determined look, he thinks that the power of this weapon is still completely unknown, and so, he says that now is the time to determine its true worth in combat. The other hunters mock him and ask what he can do with such a short sword. Their leader yells not to underestimate A-rank hunters and charges with everything. The female hunter then yells for them to wait because attacking recklessly is dangerous. Unfazed, our MC activates his trap creation with a purple aura. From there, magic circles appear on the hunter's weapons, leaving them in shock. With a smile, he says this will be a test cut and gets ready to attack. And so, the guy charges forward and yells for his mystic light blade to dance with all its might. The pinball panic trap makes the weapons ricochet and hit their own owners. The female hunter is shocked because he creates traps out of nowhere and isn't a normal person. From the impact of the blow, one of the hunters screams in pain from the unexpected attack. Lying on the ground, the others complain that their bodies are tingling because of the blow. One of them then looks at his own arm and realizes something is very wrong. In a panic, the guy yells that it's poison and that he was hit by a poison attack. Our MC's blade glows with a purple aura, revealing its true power. He then understands that the weapon's power is to inflict negative statuses on those it cuts. But since it's an ultra-rare item, he believes the effect must not be just that. Suddenly, Tsukasa goes on alert as the female hunter charges at him with everything she has. The warrior attacks with her golden sword, and our MC defends with his blade. She yells that his spree ends here and that he won't hurt anyone else on her watch. With a precise blow, the woman deflects the short sword he threw at her. Our MC is surprised because his weapon was easily thrown away. Without wasting time, he activates his trap creation for a new attack plan. With that, the blade starts to move strangely, controlled by magic threads. The weapon glows with an intense blue aura and prepares for its next move. The marionette movement trap makes the weapon hit her in the back by surprise. She despairs because she missed the attack and realizes she's been hit by poison. However, this time it's not poison, but an ice attack that freezes her shoulder. With a smile, Tsukasa understands that the color of the blade changes the attack's effect. The dagger can freely change attack attributes like poison or freeze. The female hunter prepares to continue the fight despite the negative effects. She yells that the freeze won't stop her and that she's going to use a serious technique. The hunter closes her eyes and concentrates to prepare her next big attack. With her hands on her sword, she releases a powerful golden aura for her technique. And so, the warrior uses her secret sword, the slashing aura dance, with everything she's got. Our MC is shocked by the energy and realizes he can't dodge everything. With no choice, he tries to block the attacks with his blade, but the force is too much. From the impact of the blow, his weapon goes flying with no chance of holding on. From there, the warrior charges forward to finish the fight once and for all. Unarmed, our hero watches his blade fly and realizes he's in trouble. With a swift movement, the hunter easily catches his weapon in mid-air. With a victorious smile, she says she's got the evil sword and that it's hers now. The woman then warns that he's unarmed and at a disadvantage, telling him to surrender. Suddenly, the warrior is shocked as a white smoke surrounds her out of nowhere. The sword in her hand turns into a twig, and she realizes she's been tricked by a fake item. Her eyes go wide in pure shock as she fell right into his trap. Right after, our MC appears behind her with the real weapon, ready to attack. With a precise blow, he hits the hunter's back, who screams in pain from the attack. He then apologizes and reveals that the real sword was in his hand the whole time. Our MC says the opening to create the trap was when she closed her eyes. The warrior doesn't give up and yells that as an S-rank hunter, the fight isn't over yet. Suddenly, the blade's effect hits her, and she falls to her knees, completely drained of strength. He tells her not to push herself, because she can't even stand up straight anymore. Tsukasa reveals that the attack inflicts paralysis and makes any movement impossible. And so, he tells her and the others that he won't hurt them anymore, and to rest. The hunter is confused and asks why he's showing them so much mercy. He says he has no intention of finishing them off and just wanted to end the pointless battle. With a serious look, our MC says he won't do anything else and that she can relax. From there, he approaches her and asks her to believe that he's not an illegal hunter. She agrees and says the fact that he didn't finish them is the biggest proof that he's not evil. The warrior then tries to apologize for the misunderstanding, but a strange noise interrupts them. The two of them go on alert and wonder what the heck that sound that came out of nowhere is. The sound was actually the ground shaking with the arrival of a gigantic creature. At this, the stone monster the thug mentioned appears and faces the two of them. Our MC is shocked by the creature's size and wonders what that is. The female hunter then warns that this is undoubtedly the true area boss. With that, she shows her high-performance sensor, which confirms the monster's identity. In the distance, the thug who escaped also realizes that this is the area boss. Our MC turns around and sees the illegal hunter who had fled earlier running. The stone creature then turns its head towards the man, as if it's following him. Without wasting time, the monster attacks with its stone fist, destroying everything in its path. From the force of the impact, the illegal hunter is thrown far away and screams in pain. Lying on the ground, he begs for help in complete desperation at the dangerous situation. Suddenly, a purple light appears in front of him, and he's startled by the figure that appears. With a serious look on his face, our MC faces the man, who is paralyzed with fear. With the blade to his neck, Tsukasa asks if he was the one who brought the monster here. The man gives a wicked smile and says he had already warned about the incredible monster in the canyon. And so, he explains that he woke the creature up and let it go after the hunters. He continues the explanation, saying that if he had just run, he would have been chased anyway. At this, the man reveals that he thought about using the monster to buy time and escape. However, his calculations were wrong, and he ended up being the only one chased by the creature. Our MC is annoyed that he did all that even though he knew it was the boss. Suddenly, he turns around on alert because the giant creature is about to attack again. The stone monster raises its fist and prepares to crush the two of them with everything it has. With a powerful blow, the creature hits the ground, and our MC dodges by a hair. The female hunter then yells for everyone to fall back, because they can't fight in this state. One of the hunters panics and screams desperately at the dangerous situation. The warrior realizes that the darn monster is aiming for them now. Without wasting time, Tsukasa activates his trap creation to get the creature's attention. With a magic circle, he prepares to use one of his attacks and provoke the monster. He then yells for the rock head to come at him, because his opponent is him. The female hunter is confused by the guy's attitude and wonders what he's doing. With a furious glare, the stone monster faces our MC and follows him closely. And so, he yells for the creature to follow him, because his plan is just getting started. He thinks he needs to lead the monster to a place that's easier to fight in and away from the others. From there, the guy runs, and the boss follows, destroying everything in its path. Meanwhile, Jane and Mimi are at a river, and the elf feels that something is wrong. She tells Mimi not to let its guard down because there might be enemies nearby. The warrior then approaches the riverbank and tries to understand the situation. Suddenly, she hears the sound of crumbling rocks and goes on full alert. A strong tremor shakes the place, and the two of them prepare for whatever is coming. Before them, the stone monster appears, and our MC is right on top of the creature. Jaime is in shock at the scene, and Mimi is startled by the sudden appearance. Our hero yells his ally's name, surprised to find her right there. He then tells the two of them to get ready for battle because the fight is about to begin. With a determined look, our MC charges at the monster with everything he has. He yells that they're going to defeat this area boss once and for all. The guy says that combat is inevitable because the monster seems to have him as its main target. With a worried look, Tsukasa reflects that they need to break that rigid body somehow. Suddenly, a golden flash emerges behind them and catches our MC's attention. The female hunter uses her slashing aura dance and charges at the stone monster with everything. The blow hits the creature dead on, but to everyone's surprise, it doesn't even leave a scratch. With a graceful step, the warrior lands on the ground next to our MC. She says they've caught up and invites him to battle alongside them against the boss. Our MC gives a slight smile because he didn't expect them to return. The female hunter explains that because of him, they had time to recover and are fine now. Our hero is confused and asks how the heck she suddenly knows his name. She shows his file and says the rumors that he annihilated a boss alone have spread. The warrior then introduces herself as a Sahana Tsumuji, an S-rank hunter from the association. One of the hunters interrupts her and yells desperately about the area boss situation. He warns that the monster's defense is very tough and nothing seems to do any damage to it. The hunter adds that not even her technique could scratch the creature. Tsumuji asks if he has any tactics to defeat this formidable enemy. She believes that someone as excellent as him should be able to come up with a plan quickly. The warrior then begs him to lend his wisdom, and that they will risk their lives. Our MC is in shock because she barely knows him and is already placing so much trust in him. He questions whether she's an extremely naive do-gooder or if there's something more to it. Even so, he thinks that at least now he has extra combat power for the battle. Suddenly, he remembers the concrete box he saw and gets a new idea. With a serious look, he asks if they are really willing to fight as he commands. The female hunter gives a slight smile and seems to agree with our hero's suggestion. The other hunters say there's nothing they can do since she's the one who decided, and they'll go all out. And so, the whole group charges towards the stone monster to start the plan. Together, they will set a trap to shatter that enemy to pieces.